10 stories for 10 years of me being a physical therapist. This was a few years ago. I had a patient come in. He was going on a trip to India with his wife for vacation. He was late 60s. He'd been a lawyer for 40 years. And his knee hurt. And he checked every box just about on my intake form. Family history of stroke, his own history of diabetes, heart attacks and heart diseases, you name it. He checked it off. Overweight, depression. And he needed me to fix his knee. And I can't believe it took me like 7 years into my career to realize this. No amount of massage, targeted exercise, therapeutic intervention was going to fix this man's knee problem. We could help it, but we weren't going to fix it. Because basically when we looked at his lifestyle, and he didn't say this to me, but it's what I gathered from it. When it came to what he'd been doing for the last 40 years, he'd been sitting at a desk, stressed, and eating Hot Pockets. I couldn't fix his knee. I could help it, but I couldn't fix it. And it really made me zoom out and see if I want to help people's lives, yeah, I can help their condition pretty easily, but to help their life, we got to look at how they're sleeping, how they're eating, how they're moving, and how their stress levels are, and what types of community and habits and hobbies that they have that they like. 10 stories in 10 years of me being a physical therapist. This one's about a guy named JB. He was 10 years old. He's 20 now. I have no idea what he's doing. He had torn his ACL. He had surgery to fix it. He was a football and a lacrosse player. And several months into his rehab, he got cleared by his physician to run. And that's a big deal when you get cleared to run when you're recovering from an ACL. He took this to mean he could go play football again. And in the world of physical therapy, running and football are two very different things. So my clinical instructor made me sit down with him and explain that just because he was cleared to run didn't mean he could go out at recess and play football. And the tears that welled up in his eyes and the expectation he had versus the reality that was coming at him was almost too much for me to stomach. And it was one of the first times that I hugged a patient, right? I stepped out of a professional role and I hugged this kid because he needed it and he was going through it. And his mom was sitting there crying and my clinical instructor was sitting there kind of nodding along. It was one of my first experiences in delivering news and updates and expectations that were different than what someone expected. And it stuck with me. Really, really powerful. I think we let him run that day in a straight line, maybe holding a football. But it was really important for me to have that conversation. 10 stories for 10 years of my having my physical therapy degree and passing my boards. I had a professor who was brilliant. She worked with patients who had strokes and neurological conditions. And she was treating an Italian grandma, woman in her 70s or 80s. Could not, for the life of her, get this lady to participate in her sessions. So she asked the family, what did she like to do? And of course it was Sunday dinner. Okay, she made gravy. She goes, can you bring in the pot and the spoon that she would make the gravy in? So they did. And sure enough, in this woman's hospital bed, stirring the pot of gravy. Right? All my professor had to do was remember that this lady is a person first. She has hobbies, she has interests, she has things that she cares about. Cater your treatments to the person. It is okay to go outside the box if it means you can help somebody. It's been 10 years since I graduated physical therapy school, and I want to tell you a couple stories. The first one is a story that came about in school, and it was from a patient who came to talk to us. He was a 30-something-year-old guy, ended up being quadriplegic because he dove off a dock and broke his neck at his brother's bachelor party. And he was amazing. And he said to us, the most dangerous tool in your kitchen is a dull knife. And he meant that as a metaphor. And he said, if you don't know something, it's important you know that you don't know it. If you think you know something, if you think you can treat somebody or think you can help their condition, and you really can't, if you're a dull knife, you are going to hurt them, you are going to hurt yourself, it is going to be bad for everybody. So either sharpen your knife or send them to someone who is a sharper knife than you. the most dangerous tool in your kitchen is a dull knife.